Between publishing her poetry, performing her work on stage, and running Slam Euphoria, Melissa Anderson is a force in the local poetry community. On a beautiful fall afternoon in 2024, Melissa was joined by poets and writers from the Hudson Valley Writers Guild, Hobo Camp Review, and Trailer Park Quarterly at Mojo's Cafe in downtown Troy. Melissa is a writer, artist, and craftsman. Now a furniture maker by trade, she has worked variously in theater, the fine arts, and leather production, all of which influence her poetry. Her poetry explores the beauty of the banal and how things we make help define who we are and the places we call home. Her first collection of poems, Dogstar Poems, was published by Main Street Rag in November 2024. Renowned poet Jared Singer said of Dogstar Poems, quote, Melissa Anderson's first book of poetry is an elegy for all she has lost and a treasure map to what she hopes to find. Using clever metaphor and a love for the small moments, she invites her reader with her and shares all that she has found. She reminds us that simple doesn't mean easy, and even winter, even death, is finite.
So these are all selections from that collection, and this is one of the last ones that I wrote, and it ended up going first. It's called Refrains. Here is the chorus. Rivers and the bends in them, the turn towards spring and mud and my footprints in it, and thaw and ice cracking on the river and the water filling in my footprints in the mud, and homes and time and the way homes are made of time and history of homes or not. Here is the chorus. Ghosts and bloodletting and prayers for the storm and prayers for the storm to pass, and hometowns and rivers and the ugly precious cities they cradle, and my hands and my mother's hands and the time that will wear one into the other and the spring that brings it closer every year. Here is the chorus. Daffodils, lilacs, the resilience of the ephemeral, the cold air, the cold water, the warm sun and the dogged trek ever toward it, and the tracks we wear like riverbeds into the landscapes of our lives, carving down into the loam of them forever, but never flowing exactly the same way twice. You've ever had the experience of sometimes being a person is like being your own zookeeper? You're like, oh, this thing needs to get outside. And you kind of, sometimes when things are down, you kind of live in the third person a little bit, and that's what this is. It's called reflexivity. I do not move through this life. I carry myself. I do not eat. I feed myself. I do not sleep. I put myself to bed, dragging up the blankets like a mother. I do not drive. I take myself to work and the store and home again. I buy myself groceries, apples and cheese, ply myself with wine like a supplicant at the altar, peering for keyholes or trapdoors or mercy. All is not shelves. I take myself on picnics. I read myself poetry. I send myself out to sea, out dancing. I grant myself long showers in which I clean myself with soap that smells like roses. I lead myself gently by the wrist. Two dogged things. I follow myself, the mirage in my own distance. I love myself like a bird I am nursing back to health in a shoebox. Terribly tender and ever unequipped to teach it to fly. We'll go a little bit further down before we go back up. This is an anxiety poem, and it is called How the Ancients Named the Heart the Seat of Passion. Maybe it was never about the racing pulse, the blood rushing from here to there. Maybe it was always this, the moon gone new beneath my breastbone, throb of nonsense pain, this rough tide pool, small as my 2 cupped palms. Of course we pinned love here from the start. Of course we thought the organs could uproot and go wandering, the chest setting circadian as the sun, and clawed all the way down. Yeah, this is, I write a lot about being a person who makes things and for a living and what that kind of does to your perspective on the rest of your life, and also the 2024 need to monetize every hour of your human days, as I'm sure we've all experienced. This is called Better. I could be better, I tell you on the phone, sunset smearing orange across the dirty windows. I could wash them more often. I know. I could fix the crooked seam on the back of the couch from where I reupholstered it last summer. I could cultivate my life. I could weed the garden. God, isn't there something about how the dandelions look scattered amongst the irises, something gorgeously heretical, all that purple and gold. Aren't I good often enough? Sometimes the point is being free to do something badly. Singing, dancing, painting the walls and getting splotches on the ceiling, the air, smelling of open windows and latex and delivery pizza. I want to finger paint my way to you, clawing gleefully through the color, mucked up to the elbows in our joint laughter. I want to pester you with bad guesses about the end of your mystery novel. I want to fill the sink with wildflowers and eat off paper until they wilt. No more choreographies. I want to dance so badly it looks painful. A dance so ugly its only redeeming quality is its joy. So unrepentant, there is nothing to be done for it, but for you to join along. On making. My hands ache with more years than they've yet earned. By the end of another dusty day of stapling fabric to frame, rolling paint onto wall, sweeping dirt from the concrete floors, my grandmother's voice in my ear, "Oh, you're a laborer." My hands ache from making beautiful things I could not otherwise afford to touch. In every store and restaurant, I want to stroke each cushion and filigreed wall with fondness. Someone made you, I would tell them. Someone like me who could not come here in their work clothes. Beautiful things, all made in echoing warehouses in port cities, by people with dirt forever under their fingernails, grease forever in their jeans. This is where beauty comes from, I want to tell my grandmother. It comes from labor. Don't you know that? Wasn't your father a laborer? Didn't your mother turn pasta by hand from a machine that weighed as much as your childhood body? The making of refined beauty is as banal and glorious as everything else. My hands ache from pulling open the muscles of my own heart, day after day, blood forever under my fingernails. I am making progress, grandmother. Don't you see? Just today, I sat down and wrote a poem. With my aching hands, my tired shoulders, my spring-proud soul, I am making something worthy of all this love. Someday, you will open your door, and there she'll be. Yeah, so as Mary mentioned, I do read with Slam Euphoria out of Cafe Euphoria, which has been a joy and a journey. We have another slam coming up in December with you guys a little bit. Yes. So I thought I have one more, and I'm gonna do the poem that I took to Northeast Slam in Boston, and it's changed around a couple times, but in The book, it's called My Daughter Asks Me About Love. I see you. The streaks of tinsel tucked into your hair, the sea glass in your skirt pockets. You and me, girl, were magpies. Been collecting stones since before we could pronounce metamorphic, been grounding, been hoarding light. Like taking home the stained glass windows of the churches we were raised in, the sharp shards that cut our palms, schooling our singing voices on psalms, finding meaning in the rhythm, purpose in the verses, in meditative memorization, looking for God, and finding only obligation to reproduce a broken world. Girl, I get it. You and me, we're always looking for something that feels like running and resting at the same time. I tell you, that's what love feels like. Like baking in the kitchen and sneaking the first bite just for you. Like the hooky hours before an afternoon appointment, riding your bike down the bright street while your friends sit in algebra, unlooped from time for just a morning. Love, on the best days, feels a little like getting away with something. You'll be out on a walk, swinging your hands in the spring breeze and think, who just let you do this? Combine your lives like grapevines, hands and mouths always full of sweet fruit. Who let you find them? In a shitty little cafe in the rain, coffee forgotten entirely in the face of all your delight. Love is the living room floor giddiness of a sleepover at midnight. It is a perfectly ripe wild raspberry, hardly deep in the bramble at all, that somehow no one saw but you. It's too good to be true, maybe. A sacrament they'll call unearned, but girl, if God is watching us, holding us to task, it is with his hands beneath us, or propped between our shoulder blades, holding us up, not back. Nothing on heaven or earth is ever sure, but on the best days, girl, love will never feel like God has turned his back on you. Except maybe in jest. Thumbs tucked into the pockets of his celestial jeans, mouth corked up whistling on one side, not turning his gaze from you at all, just winking somewhere in the corner of your eye. Thank you.